You are listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mock. I'm a general dentist, a practice owner, and a certified life coach. I teach women who own dental practices to lead with intention and literally fall in love with their businesses. Keep listening and you will see how learning to love your practice turns into loving your life too. Hey ladies, have you ever been in the middle of a clinical day when your assistant or your hygienist or someone who works for you does something that you want them to do a little bit different, or maybe a lot different? Maybe you're a little bit irked or you're furious. Either way, I have felt the pain of being in the middle of taking care of humans and not being able to take the time right then and there to be the manager as well. And then what happens typically is we get to the end of the clinical day and we still haven't talked to that person about what we want them to do differently. And there's two reasons for that. One is because we really are busy. We really are. But the other one is that there's reasons our brain will give us not to have that conversation. It's uncomfortable. And we don't know exactly what we're going to say or how we're going to do it. We don't know how to have a conversation about positive changes that don't turn frustrating for the recipient or for us or both. And the thing is that I have had so many clients come to me and complain about this problem that I have actually made a course just for you, you female dental owners, and it doesn't cost anything at all. I made it for you for free. It's deeper than I can go in just a podcast. So what I did was I put the whole course together in a little online bundle, and all you do is text me to get the course. So I have this number set up. It's 66866. Such an easy number to remember. And you just text the words "love your employees" to the number, but you can't leave any spaces between the words or it won't come back correct. I don't know what you'll get if you leave a space, but so your autocorrect will want you to leave spaces there. You got to go back in and delete the spaces. Love your employees to 66866. And the next time someone does something in your practice that you want to change, you will have a very easy system that smooths out the speed bumps that our brain wants to put in place for us to not do the thing. But trust me, I have helped many women do this before. It's a tried and true plan. I use it myself. Text the number, and then I'll see you in the course. Hey, Dr. Laura Mock again today, coming to you from my dental office with my dental outfit on here. To tell you about today's podcast episode. It's a different one. It's really interesting. I hope that you enjoy it. I think that it was really worthwhile. I talked to two dental hygienists, Chris Williams and Karese Laguerre, they both come to dentistry from very different backgrounds, and they serve dentistry in really different ways now. Neither of them are traditional chairside hygienist anymore. Chris Williams is a podcaster, speaker, leader extraordinaire, and Karese is a myofunctional therapist who also dabbles in these leadership roles and in changing dentistry and helping make it better. So they are putting on a meeting on diversity and culture, as in, what is it about culture that makes dentistry and our individual dental practices better than they would have been without those things? So we talk about the importance of culture, the importance of diversity in our own dental practices and in dentistry at large in this interesting episode. So stay tuned, and I hope that you are enriched as much as I was recording it. See you on the other side, ladies. Okay, I would like to welcome to my podcast, Love Your Practice, Karese and Chris, who are the dream team here to teach us more about diversity and culture today. You two, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Yes, thank you for having us, Laura.
So to fast forward a whole bunch, you two are putting on a brand new dental meeting, which just blows my mind because it's got to be so many moving parts. But I want to back up and find out the history of how this came to be. So we're flashing back like a movie here, and I want to hear how this became a thing in the first place. So I'm just gonna turn the time over to you two for a bit to hear about how it became a thing.
Absolutely. Well, I think it all started for me. I think it started, Chris and I knew each other just in the industry and through various things. But in Nashville last year, Chris got on stage and gave his first CE, and it was about workplace culture and how you can use the five love languages to really, bring it together for your team. And he spoke with such passion, and we kept in contact. And I went to several conferences after that, and so did he. And we were sharing back and forth our experiences. And it's interesting being a minority in this industry, some of the conferences tend to look the same. And it was something that, we really felt like there was a void, something that was missing. And it was diversity in dentistry. And so we kind of came together, and his passion and my passion for diversity and really bringing that to the forefront and impacting dentistry and celebrating diversity and cultural differences, it just became a wonderful little baby, the Dental Culture
And
Con.
the Dental Culture Con was born.
The dental culture con baby has hit the world now. But before we go on and hear about that, I want to hear what more about what you mean when you say diversity. I'm curious what that means to you.
Absolutely. So me and Karese, both at the core of all the things that we do, really, really want to celebrate our differences in all the ways that that appears. And that is through your ethnic background, your religious preferences. Being dental professionals, we get an opportunity to connect with a wide array of different patients. And also, as we've worked in the career for many years, you work in different offices and you come across different personalities, and there's so much difference in us all. But sometimes our world seems to use those differences as ways to keep us apart, but we've really found opportunities to celebrate them and find beauty in it. And so with this conference, we really want to embody what dentistry really looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. And that is including even some topics that may not be touched on at all. We've had some people who are really love what we're doing, and they've brought up some things like ageism, um, sexism, right? Your sexual preferences, how you like to be identified. These are all things because Karese likes to say she's never had, and I like this saying, you never had teeth sit in your chair without it being attached to a human. And I really like that a lot, because that is what I think makes us amazing clinicians, is when you look at the human component, right? And what makes up that person. And that's everything that includes. So yes, this diversity to us means including everyone, representing everyone, and celebrating them in the best way possible.
That's beautifully said. Thank you. And and Chris, you're a hygienist, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And Karese, how about you? What do you do?
I am also a licensed hygienist. I don't practice clinically anymore, though. I do myofunctional therapy now.
Oh, do you do that for yourself or for somebody else?
Both.
Okay. And
So the cool thing is, through this journey of me and Karese partnering to create this baby of a conference, right? That will soon be a full-fledged adult in June.
it's growing up quickly,
Growing up quickly.
Fast.
like a Sims
Um,
baby.
I had the opportunity to actually learn more about what Karese does. And I was very impressed. She has her own practice. That's where that, yeah, the Myo Spot, right? She has her own practice, and she also partners with many other organizations that really spearhead airway in dentistry. And that's been cool for me to learn more about airway. As you know, being a hygienist and an entrepreneur and speaker, there was, as I connected with different people and learned about this whole industry within the industry of airway professionals, it's amazing. So yeah, I had to jump in because Karese doesn't like to talk about herself.
I don't.
But
She's blushing.
we're working on that. We're working on getting her out there because she deserves a ton for the work that she does in dentistry.
Yeah. I mean, not to keep on embarrassing you, Karese, but myofunctional therapy changes people's lives.
It does.
Like they can talk and swallow and breathe easier than they could before.
Absolutely.
Did I miss anything?
Digest and sleep. And yeah.
Yeah. Mhm. That's amazing. Okay. So we've talked about what diversity is. I want to hear from both of you. Why is it important for the individual practice owner to be aware of diversity issues? How does it benefit, like, say, my quintessential listener who would be a woman who owns her practice? Why is this important for her to pay attention to?
Diversity is important just because it's all around us, most of us. It's around us in some way, shape, or form. Even in its less impactful form, the media, you're going to see and experience things that are happening and conversations that are happening and a lot of different stimulus around diversity. You should know how to address these things when big events happen in the country or local events happen. Like, let's take, for example, in Atlanta with the Asian hate crimes and the spa shootings. Those were things that really did wake up an underbelly of a good portion of minorities to say this is wrong, this is something that's happening. And then if the next day you have a dental appointment and your dental office doesn't acknowledge it, the day is just going by like there's nothing wrong, but you have something that's sitting deep within your soul, it's a problem. I could get disconnected from that dental office, whereas there may be another one that sends out an email or a message blast that says, you know, we acknowledge that this thing happened and we don't agree with the actions that were taken, and we're here if you would like to talk. That is not my dental office responsibility, but I'll tell you what, I'm never going to miss an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly important that we are aware that there is, like Chris says, I like to say, a person attached to these teeth, and they have thoughts and feelings and emotions, and a lot is happening in the world, and we need to just be very mindful and save space for each other and what our main concerns are, because that's going to help with retention and with the patient connections. We need to build that rapport.
You know, I agree. I mean, the patient connections thing and that whole showing respect and understanding, empathy to the different populations that we care for. Because, like you said, they're not just a mouth; they're a whole human with feelings. They're the ones who pay us. They have to show up to their appointments. They're more likely to do that if they feel understood and seen as a human. And it reminds me because I don't do diversity training, but I do teach dental offices how to show respect to transgender patients. So I have a little workshop that teaches people basically where did all these transgender kids come from in the first place, right? And then how do we speak to them in a way that is respectful but not like overly curious or pandering, you know? And the reason, and I point out in my workshop that this is actually good for business for us to know how to do this. So it feels good to do it right because we're showing respect to an underappreciated portion of the population. And also, it's a tight knit community. So then business grows because there's a reputation that this practice shows respect.
Yes, I want to just jump in here. I want to, with this event, we want to make sure that we get away from the idea that cultural awareness training is this kumbaya kind of thing, right? But more so, let's think about it like this. Have you ever seen a place or an event that exists for a very specific type of group, right? And you have some outliers in that group and they stand out, right? They stand out almost in an uncomfortable fashion to where it's like, I don't know that they feel like they belong there versus seeing a similar event with diversity and inclusion, and everyone is comfortably existing together, and it's almost a peaceful harmony of connectedness, right? That could look like, let's say, for instance, I love R&B, right? I love R&B and rap, right? But if I had some friends who, I was in the military, I had some friends who were more into country and rock, right? And they came to a concert with me, they might be a little uncomfortable and feel out of place. But if they've been introduced to these things, if they've had an opportunity to connect and learn more about this, they could vibe with me and we could vibe together in each other's spaces, right? And sharing. So with these events, I think what our goal is to really just create an opportunity for people to know how to connect with others that are different.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
yes. Like, give me an example. Okay. So you and I are talking. You're a black man. I'm a white woman.
Mm.
Okay. And if I come up to you and I'm uncomfortable about our differences, then how would I act? A little standoffish, maybe, or
Yeah, maybe a little standoffish, maybe like we don't have things in common, right? But once we get an opportunity to talk and share, it could be simple questions like if you are the uncomfortable party and
Mhm.
I open up with being intrigued by you and asking questions about where you're from, what's your name, showing a particular interest in something that I viewed on you or that I just invoked from conversation, right? Automatically you become a lot more comfortable, right? But
Yeah.
there are offices that have cultures that aren't necessarily inviting to all, right? But they might want to be, right? There in our industry, as we all know, there is a shortage of employees across the board, support staff across the board, right? Especially by way of hygienists. And there's tons of offices that are scrambling to find someone who can fit into their culture, right? The
Mhm.
pandemic really shook things up. So now people are not staying places where they're not appreciated and celebrated, right? Prior to, people might have just kind of dealt with it because it was just what things were, right?
Mhm.
But now people are being very selective. And so it's really important for offices to understand how to connect, how to build a culture where people can feel celebrated, even though they're different.
Mhm. Or especially because they're different.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, for example, I would love to be able to hire a minority in my practice. I don't get applicants for that. I live in Iowa where we're like all white. I so I would love to do that because when minority patients come in, I can be like, look, we have different types of colors of skin here. Like, we're
Yeah, yeah.
fine. We're glad you're here. I
Right. And
can't.
we want to foster an environment that helps you to position yourself that way, helps you to exude that, right? The more you learn, like you can tell someone who has been educated on a system that your office offers versus someone who just read a pamphlet, right? You know the difference. So if you are a part of some real training, some real opportunities to connect, it will be exuded in the way your team and your practice shows up, the way people feel when they walk in. Things will change.
Mhm.
But we have to be aware. We have to be aware that that's a need, right? Those offices have to want that. Like the fact that you're saying that out loud, that you want to have a more diverse staff, that is already on its way to you. And look at now, we're a guest on your podcast as two people who are doing a conference. So you're already speaking this into existence. You're already bringing this to Iowa right now.
A little bit, maybe. Thank you. I'm working on it. Thanks for your encouragement, Kathy. But you know what? What are some ways that I could communicate this welcomeness that you're talking about? Since I don't have applicants who come to me, what are some other things that a practice can do that shows the welcome attitude?
Marketing materials. If you're posting on social media or you're designing any graphics, making sure you have diverse stock photos. A lot of stock photos that people are using or taking might be very consistently of one particular type of person or one particular gender. We want to make sure that we're being as diverse as possible, show as many different faces. That shows that there's already an interest in diversity. If I can scroll through your social media and I'm seeing all these different faces, that makes me feel like I would be more welcome there. Because that can be something that would come across, because there's times, and Chris may have experienced it too, there are times where as a minority hygienist, I've had people refuse to sit in my chair or to work with me because they see a Black woman in the office. Like, no, I will not. I do not want her anywhere near me. And I need to know that I'm going to be in an office that will then dismiss this patient and say, this is unacceptable here in this practice. And so I won't know that that can happen if I don't see it in your outward marketing. So that's one way.
Sometimes you have to take that bold stance to raise your hand high, not not here, but here, right? And let people know that you're accepting and that you're open, you're looking, you need this. Directly say, we are looking to diversify our practice. We want more diversity in our staff. If you are blah, 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 right? However, whatever position you're looking for, put that out there. Because if you just have a general application out or a general opening, and like Karese said, if I go and do a little research and I don't see any representation there, I'm not going to look at that as an opportunity or a place for me, because it would already be represented. But if you are truly looking to diversify, don't be afraid to say that in your verbiage. Put it in all caps. Diversity.
One thing we just started doing, so we're working on our social media. A lot of dental offices, it's like, oh, can I hire somebody to do this for me? And it's like, happy Tooth Day and happy this, so we're working on it, trying to get better. And just this week, I put a post out in my local business owners Facebook group looking for minority business owners with whom I can collaborate. So cross posting and maybe doing specials with each other, that type of thing, so that we can encourage more of that. I've had a couple people respond so far, so I'm hoping that can become a thing.
Yeah, that's all you need is a few to start.
Yeah.
Any other suggestions for these practice owners who want to get more welcoming, more diversity into their offices?
Yeah, absolutely. I have one major one.
Okay.
Attend the Dental Culture Con, June 15th through the 17th.
The Dental Culture Con.
Yes, just go to dentalculturecon.com. Our event is totally virtual. We are creating an immersive experience where you don't lose out on all of the money to travel for these events and be able to connect with sponsors, right? You don't lose out on any of the in-person values and benefits. You get all of that with amazing speakers, and we're going to touch on so many subjects around culture, diversity and inclusion, workplace, and patient culture. So to answer your question, attend this event and you will 100% put yourself ahead of the game when it comes to offices looking to amplify their cultural awareness. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
You see how I used another language there?
I noticed that. That was very impressive.
That's culture. That is culture.
That's tell me what you're going to teach in this conference.
So we're talking about culture in 3 different ways. One first is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we have phenomenal top speakers that are going to be speaking on how you can speak to your patient base or acquire more diversity within your practice and so forth. And then we're going to be talking about workplace culture. Like Chris mentioned earlier, with the staffing shortage, this is a hot topic. Everybody's looking for how can they create a workplace culture and environment that retains the staff you've currently got and attracts new people. And then patient culture is our third way of talking about culture. And that's really, how do you get these patients to stay and to be excited to come back again, to continue their treatments, to say yes to their treatments, and to really get the care and address the problems that they should.
That sounds amazing. I especially love that workplace culture concept because it's true. We're all living in fear that our people are going to quit.
Oh,
And if we have a practice that they don't want to give up on, they're less likely to do that. I just told my hygienist this week, she gets cold really easily. And I said, so we've had the air conditioning on. Have you been warm enough? Because I keep you warm. If I keep you warm, you'll never quit.
I love that.
I love your hygienist. That sounds like me and my body. As long as I'm warm, I'm fine. I'll stay wherever.
Exactly. I'm over on the other side of the office, like sweating up a storm, but she's got her own little corner. So we can keep that as warm as she needs. It's fine. Yeah, but it's a challenge. I will, as a life coach for dental practice owners, I can tell you that when we start thinking about creating a workplace culture, we quickly get pulled into like a defensive mode with our brain where we go, but I'm paying them. They should be happy because I'm giving them a job and they're getting their money. You know what I mean? Or
100%.
we get this feeling where we're worried that people are going to take more from us. Take. We feel like we have this saying among our friends that we feel like we're being $500 a month to death, where we got to pay these people $500 and these people $500, and then we got the team and they want this and they want this, and it's hard, but it's a shift that's possible to change that around to how can I create a culture where everyone is happy to be there.
Yes. So just to jump on that, because I love that you got fired up about that, because that is something that fires me up, fires Karese up. And like she mentioned, I speak about bringing the 5 love languages into the workplace, right? And the kind of where that stems from is there's a mindset that practice owners have where they think that paying you more gives you the sense of feeling valued, right? But we definitely have to shift that, because there are many other ways. And I want to say actually the pay is on the bottom of what makes a person feel valued and appreciated. All they want is to feel valued and appreciated for the work that they do. But how they receive that value is very particular to every individual person that works in your practice. You might have someone who really loves for you guys to go to lunch and spend that quality time together to talk about your life and share things. And you might have another person who just really wants you to just tell them, hey, just tell me when I'm doing a good job, and I will eat on that for the rest of the week, right? You will telling somebody that they're doing a great job on Monday will have the entire week amazing with their production, right? And there's so many little intricacies and things that we could go into on how to get the most out of your team members without having to pay any more than what you're paying them, right?
It's interesting because what you're talking about is so valuable to the employees, but all it costs me to give you that is the air in my lungs. All I have to do
Absolutely.
is move my lips,
Yep.
my diaphragm, and get the air. Thank you. You
Yep.
are amazing.
Right.
I
That's for
appreciate you.
but that's only for the employees that words of affirmation are great for them. But the gift giving employees, You might have to spend a little bit. Just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. But all with good intention and great results. There's for me, I think as I look at culture just across the board for different companies, organizations, sports teams, like all types of things, all of the people who understand how to build great culture really get solid connection and longevity out of the people who interact with them. You look at people who attended colleges, the culture is what makes them still promote their school long after they've graduated, right?
Yeah.
And still talk about it in such a light. I am speaking next week on Monday at my alma mater because the culture is important to me, right? And I know that sometimes, my school in particular, they need a little help sometimes with culture, but it is extremely beneficial because some of that helped me to get through school, right? Some of the culture aspects. So culture is extremely important. We can culture you to death if you want it. Well, culture you to success. Let's say that.
Let's say that instead of. Oh, that's great. Okay, I want to say one more thing about what we were just talking about with workplace culture, because I have studied leadership so much in order to be able to be the best coach I can for these women. And I've thought so much about how dental employees want to feel. It really is so much of life, the choices that we make are because of how we think we're going to feel after we do the thing that we're choosing to do, right? We're picturing buying that new car, or we're picturing getting our smile fixed, or picturing starting a new job at a different dental office. And I've thought about all these employees, and I think that there's one thing in common for all of them, and that is they all went into dentistry because they wanted to feel helpful. And then all of us as humans want to feel appreciated. So a lot of times when we talk about improving the leadership of my clients, when we're talking about how to help our employees feel those two emotions so that they then can turn around and do what we want them to do, that they can represent us in their operatories and with their words to the patients. Just a little nugget.
I love that.
Love
Helpful and appreciated.
Helpful
Yeah.
and appreciate it.
I resonate with that so much.
Yeah.
After I got out of the military, I think that was something I was seeking. I was seeking to feel helpful and appreciated. And I needed to find a career that would give me that same thing. Because in the military, you get it, all the time. People, you walking around and people say, "Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service." You be like, "I ain't even do nothing. I just got in." Right.
I'm just wearing my uniform.
I'm just wearing a uniform, right?
Yeah.
But once you do start to associate, yourself to those values, right, and what you're doing in service, that is 100%. I just love that you added that because that is what we feel and what we seek as clinicians, as dental professionals, is to be helpful and be valued. So I love that.
Yeah. And you'd be amazed at how the culture of the team changes when they all feel that.
100%.
Reach out, help each other. Oh, and you need your operatory clean. Let me help you with that. Let me check out your patient. Mrs. Jones, do you want a blanket? Do you want a pillow? You know what
Right.
I mean? It just bubbles up like Care Bears having the good feelings come out of their chest, like the stars and stuff.
Yes.
Anyway, okay, so Dental Culture Con, and this is an online meeting, right? It's virtual, so we can go but we still get to meet everybody because there's breakout rooms, right?
Yes.
I
So
love the meetings, like
yes,
being able
it's
to.
not going to be like your typical webinar where you're just watching all day and you're maybe sitting on your couch wearing a nice top, pajama bottoms, and you're falling asleep. It's going to be interactive. You'll be able to interact with the speakers, interact with the sponsors. You'll be able to interact with other attendees. And so it's going to be very interactive. You'll be able to move about the conference in a similar way that you would move about a regular conference. So I like to consider it more of an experience, a virtual experience.
That sounds lovely because, one of the things I love about going to a meeting is the conversations. Lectures, those are good too, but I want to get curious with people. I want to get to know them and stuff. So it's good to know that the meeting will have that. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We definitely invite anyone who's interested in any of the subjects or what we're covering. If you think culture is important to your business and to your life, we absolutely extend the invitation for you to visit dentalculturecon.com and grab your ticket. We have 2 tiers. We'll make it super easy. If you are an individual wanting to attend, we have an individual ticket, and then we also have a team ticket.
Ooh.
So they're very affordable, and the event is super accessible.
Yes, those are my 2 favorite A's.
Yes,
Affordable and accessible. Okay.
Yeah.
She's
Yes,
fired up.
affordable brand. Loves a
Yeah.
good deal.
So you're saving so much on the front of, flying your team out to get this amazing content. You'll be getting CE. You'll have an opportunity to connect with the sponsors the same way you would if you really enjoy the aspect of walking up to a table and talking to a sponsor. This will be so much better. We're going to be doing raffles that the sponsors will be giving out some amazing items. There's a lot that we are doing that is very different with this event, and we're super excited to be kind of pioneering in a way some of what we're thinking.
You're totally pioneering. You're creating something out of nothing. And I clap at both of you for that. It's amazing. I'm so impressed.
Thank you. Cheers to pivoting.
Cheers to pivoting, and to you for doing this hard thing that I'm sure is going to have so much reward. And thank you for taking your busy time to come and talk to us about it.
Thank
You're
you
very
for
welcome.
having us.
Yes, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening to my podcast today. I'm Dr. Laura Mock signing out. Remember, if you want to take that free course on correcting your employees, text the words "love your employees" with no spaces to 66866. Thanks, ladies. See you next time. Thank you for listening to Love Your Practice with Dr. Laura Mock. I would love to meet you. To join our movement, find the Facebook group called Love Your Practice and request to join. If you can't find it, just send me a message and I'll add ya. You'll find me there helping all of my ladies to fall in love with their businesses and have a better life.